Good morning, everyone. This is my first hike of 2018. It's actually going to be a series of short hikes today. It is Sunday, January the 7th, around 9 a.m. It's very cold outside, if you can't tell. Today, I am in Hanging Rock State Park. It's my first visit here in at least a year, I would say. And this past week, it's been the Bombo Genesis, or whatever they're calling it, but it's the extreme cold that's just been covering the Midwest and East Coast for a week. And everyone's been getting out to see frozen waterfalls. And I haven't really been able to get out. One, because the first couple days, the roads were really bad, and I didn't want to chance it. And then during the middle of the week, I had to work. But now it's Sunday, and this is basically the last really cold day before it starts warming up next week. So it's my last chance to see a lot of waterfalls frozen that hardly ever get this cold. So I decided to stay close to home because there's a lot of variety in Hanging Rock State Park. There's 5 waterfalls, and I've seen pictures of them, and they look magnificent, frozen over. And they're all short hikes, so I can warm up in the car afterwards. I don't have to take my gear or anything. And I think I'm going to be able to walk out on the ice on all of these. My first one, I'm on the stairs going down right now at Lower Cascade Falls. I don't hear any water. It's kind of creepy. Usually it's roaring. I'll be down there shortly, but I'm going to cut this off and try to get my hands warm before I start taking some pictures. The pool is completely frozen over. All right, next stop is Hidden Falls and Window Falls. Lower Cascade Falls was beautiful. I spent about 30 minutes hanging out at the bottom. Got really cold. It was fun watching some people show up to mess around, slide around the pool and everything. But now I'm on to what I think is going to be the highlight, which is completely frozen sheet of Window Falls, which I can walk behind. So I'll be down there about half a mile. This is Hidden Falls. I think this waterfall sucks. It's one of my least favorite named waterfalls in the state. Definitely looks a little better when it's iced over, but still, this is not a great, not a great waterfall. But it's only 100 feet off of the trail. I think it's about 10 feet high, maybe 12. But it's just a minor stop on the way down to Window Falls, which should be a lot better. There's the window. And the waterfall. I'm gonna go down there first and then go up there to the other side of the window. There's the upper waterfall hidden in a cave back there. The lower drop of Window Falls. This is a 2-drop waterfall. There's one up there behind the massive rock overhang. This lower drop is probably 15 feet high, maybe 20 feet high. But if you see it during the summer, people are always walking under it, walking behind it. And now it's just a sheet of ice. I'm actually kind of surprised how much water is flowing here compared to Lower Cascade Falls. This is at least 500 feet higher in elevation, and the creek is much smaller. So it should be easier to freeze. It faces the northeast in a cove, but I'm sure it's safe to go behind there. This is the upper drop of Window Falls, hidden behind this massive overhang. It is a really cool little spot. On the short trail to Upper Cascade Falls, I drove to the other end of the parking lot. It sounds lazy, but the visitor center parking lot is enormous and very long, and I needed to warm up my toes a little with the heater. But this would be a very short 10-minute trip, and hopefully it looks great. At Upper Cascade Falls, looking downstream, the lighting really could not be worse. The sun is directly overhead at the moment, so I'm very close to the waterfall, right beside it. You can see the sun's right up there, so if I back up, it'd just wash out everything. Pretty cool though. Tory's Den Falls. I was just at Tory's Falls, which is in the westernmost part of Hanging Rock State Park. It's definitely on the smallest creek, either Tory's Den Creek or Tory's Den Branch. I forget the name. And it is the tallest waterfall that's accessible by trail. It's around 50 feet high, but because the stream is so small, it's barely a trickle during most of the year. So today it looked a lot more impressive with all the ice. There were some people stupidly scrambling around it without any traction, and they were slipping, and I was watching them to make sure I didn't have to run out to call 911. Fortunately, they made it to the bottom without slipping and hurting themselves. Now I'm just checking out Tory's Den. This is a cool little cave just downstream from the waterfall. And I forget the history of it, but it was a hideout during the Revolutionary War. But really awesome cave. And it's definitely warmer inside. Now I'm hiding out in Tory's Den. A little warmer in here. My last frozen stop of the day. This is a almost completely iced over Indian Creek. This is about 3 miles downstream of Window and Hidden Falls. I parked at the Dan River access, and I'm gonna hike the River Bluffs loop, which is a pretty short trail. There's no waterfalls on this, but I thought it'd be cool to see a partially frozen Dan River and some of the cliffs along the river, and a great way to end my day. The River Bluffs loop finally curved around to the Dan River, and this is the first easily accessible side trail to a nice little sandy spot. And the river is currently half frozen. I'm actually standing on ice right now. Seems like the few feet near the edge is pretty safe, and it allows me to get out into the water for a more open picture away from the little trees on the side. It's pretty cool. You can see the middle of the river right here is completely frozen, and the flowing water kind of separates around that ice island. No bluffs yet. I think the bluffs are downstream a little ways, closer to the parking lot, but very beautiful. So rare to see a large river like this half frozen. The river is almost completely frozen over here. The flowing water narrows to this little point, and then it's frozen for about 15-20 feet before it reemerges. And this is also the beginning of the Dan River Bluffs. Look pretty impressive from here. All right, everyone, just past 5:15, and I just finished the River Bluffs Loop Trail. I can't believe I haven't done that before. That's a really nice short hike. Pretty amazing stretch of the Dan River, and the bluffs were great. A lot bigger than I expected. And if everything wasn't frozen, I think I could have gone out into the shallow end of the river and explored more, but everything was iced over, and it was hard to tell whether it was deep or just covering up some shoals. But still, just awesome seeing the river almost completely frozen. That was my last hike of the day. I'm pretty cold. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been kind of slurring my words at some points during the day. It's hard to move your lips when it's consistently around 20 degrees or lower with the wind. And I've been struggling at times to pronunciate, so I apologize for that. I've been in this Hanging Rock State Park for about 8.5 hours since this morning. And it was great seeing every named accessible waterfall completely frozen over. I'd say my favorite was the scene at Lower Cascade Falls, followed by getting behind Window Falls and just seeing that giant column of ice. Both were really cool. I enjoyed everything, and I'm going to do a second separate video for my hike to Moore's Knob, which was in the middle of all of this. So I saw Lower Cascade Falls, Hidden Falls, Window Falls, and then I hiked up to Moore's Knob, and then I dropped down and saw Tory's Den and came down to the river. So overall, a great day. One of those rare occurrences where everything freezes over. Doesn't happen much in North Carolina. So I hope everyone got out to see something. See you guys next time on the trail.